Vicky here for your Friday evening, or wherever you are, depending on the time of day, Yin Yoga session, setting you up for the weekend, I hope. I'm just going to check that we're live. Sorry about this. Yeah, there we are. Okay, great. Hello again. So today what we're going to do is the first of 4, based on the 4 principles of Yin Yoga. So the first principle of Yin Yoga is playing your edge. And basically what that means is finding your way into a pose. So I guide you into a pose, or you do it by yourself if you're doing this without me. And then playing with that pose so that you are getting the best out of the posture and that you are feeling stimulation in the body without any pain. That's basically what it is. And I know that I talk about that a lot when we're doing these sessions, but today I just really wanted to focus on that because it's such an important part of the practice. So I'll guide you through it as we're going along. And we're just going to go straight into it today. So first of all, just hold on one second. So I put my timer on. So as always, I don't keep you in the poses for too long. We're going to move into a pose called shoelace. So shoelace, we will start just sitting down on your left hip and then keeping both knees bent. Just bring the right knee over without pulling on the knee. Bring it over the top so the knees are roughly stacked on top of each other. So the target area here is we want to feel a stretch on the side of the right leg going into the glutes. Now if your knee is up here, that's absolutely fine. If your knees aren't directly over each other, that's absolutely fine as well. If you are feeling any sensations in the knee that don't feel good, then what I would suggest is to sit up on something. Sitting up on anything, doesn't need to be a block. That can lessen the sensation in the knees. Now if you're finding that's still not working for you, then you can just move the legs so it's in more of a square position. Moving the knees back together again. Kind of playing with that until it feels okay in the knees. Then raise both arms up, cross the right over the left, bend the elbows, and then either bringing the hands together or holding onto the wrists, or the hands can be like this as well, that's fine, doesn't matter. Now bring the elbows up. I'll do this sideways, so that you're feeling a stretch on the outside of the right arm, perhaps going into the shoulder. So here, this is where we want to start. This is where the first example I wanted to do of playing your edge. So just bring the arms up, bring the arms down, and find the point where you're feeling a good stretch on the outside of that arm, that you're okay to stay in for around 2 minutes. And then if you're not feeling any stretch at all, if you're okay here, stay here. Then you can also try folding over perhaps, maybe moving the torso, moving the arms and the body around until you find your edge, your point. If you're finding that there's pinching or stabbing, pinching perhaps in the front of the shoulders, then I would suggest the other option, which is just to pull the right arm in front of you. So finding your edge, and then we're going to stay for just under 2 minutes, closing your eyes if that's comfortable. And don't worry too much if you haven't got too much of a stretch in the side of the right leg yet. We're going to change the pose slightly after we finish with the arms, and we're going to see if we can get more of a stretch there. It's just going to be a little bit here, perhaps nothing at all, or maybe it's quite intense for you. So this is the point. Different bodies, different skeletons. And this is why we do functional yoga as opposed to aesthetic yoga. And what I mean by that is we're looking for stimulation in a particular area, target areas. So in this case, in the legs, the side of the right leg and the front of the right arm. Now you may be feeling it in one of those places or both of those places. You may also possibly be feeling it in the back of the shoulders, one shoulder or both shoulders. It's different for different bodies, depending on how you're structured, your skeleton. And also depends on tension and compression, but that's something I'll go into another time. Something that's also worth bearing in mind here is your breath. And that can help to tell you if you're too deep in or if your edge is right. So if you find that it's got a bit quick and a bit shallow, that can indicate that you've perhaps gone too far, and I would suggest backing off. So for example, the arms, perhaps bringing them down a bit. And perhaps if it's really deep, and that may also suggest that you've gone too far, that you're kind of trying to breathe into the pose. So again, just back off a little bit. Just another 20 seconds or so here. My breath is quite deep, so I think I'm a bit deep, so I'm just going to move the arms down a bit. And then resolve to stay still again. Still-ish. Still as you can, as long as there's no pain. But again, that's something we'll talk about in another session. So we're going to bring the arms down. So just uncross the arms and we're going to fold forward. So just keep the arms relaxed and fold forward. So again, we're trying to find the edge here. And you may look different to me. You may be higher up. You may feel that you can go further down. And if that's the case, then just move the body to the side to move around the legs. Now play with that, paying attention to the leg, paying attention to your natural stopping point, your edge. And then when you found it, then resolve to stay still. And again, we'll stay this time for 3 minutes. Close your eyes and notice your experience. What we try to do in Yin Yoga is, rather than have an alignment for everybody, being aware that all bodies are different, then we give different options so that you can adjust it for your own individual alignment. So all the different options that I give you are to try and help you get the best out of the pose that suits you, suits your body. And you may notice after a while that that stretch, that stimulation gets more intense. And again, if you feel like you need to back off a bit, then do. But also, if you feel like you would actually prefer to deepen a bit further into the pose, then just very gently again, maybe move the torso a little bit and allow your body to relax into it, to deepen into it. Okay, so let's come out. So just gently push yourself back up to the center, maybe walking the hands up. Perhaps remove any support if you have any. And just rock back onto the hips. And then just straighten the legs out to the front. And before we move on to anything else, just sit in whatever position is comfortable with the legs out straight, put the hands wherever you want. And just notice how that arm feels and how that leg feels. And then we'll move into a different pose before we do the other side. We're going to move into caterpillar, because again, I think this is a good one for finding your point, playing the edge. So for this, keep the legs stretched out and fold forward. So this is not a yang caterpillar or forward fold, but the yang caterpillar would be hinging from the legs, keeping the back straight. For this, we want to fold over, we want to roll the back, curve the back, to allow the back muscles to stretch. Ideally, also our target area is the backs of the legs, but again, that depends on the person. So some of you, when you fold forward over the legs, may well be feeling this in the backs. Other people, like me for example, I don't really feel it because of the shape of my hips, but I do feel it somewhat in the back. Maybe, if you're not really feeling it in the legs, and sitting up on something can also help. And you can also separate the legs as well. That helps a bit for me. So again, play with that without pushing. And find where your natural stopping point is, where your edge is. And then allow yourself to relax into the pose. You can also play with the rotation of the legs if you want to. Finding your point, finding your edge. And what we want in these target areas, so here for example the back and the hamstrings, is we want, if you're going to look at it on a scale between 0 and 10, I would say 2 to 4, maybe 5 in terms of intensity. You want the stimulation over a general area, so you don't want it in one point. You want it over the general area of the backs of the thighs, maybe even into the calves. And a general area over the back, either the lower back, the middle back, perhaps the upper back, or perhaps the whole back. So I've been talking for a bit now, so we're going to be here for just over 2.5 minutes. Close your eyes and just allow the body, allow gravity to bring you into this pose without pushing. And if you find any of these poses that actually you're not really feeling it so much in that target area that I've suggested, and even if you make some adjustments based on my suggestions, you're still not feeling it, then don't worry about it too much. If you're feeling it in a different part and that feels good, then it really doesn't matter. Everything they say is a suggestion. It's not set in stone. And it may be that we all look in, we're all in a similar kind of shape, but we could all be feeling it in completely different areas. And again, that's okay. That's fine. Just notice where those areas are. Keep the body relaxed. Keep the breathing natural. And also notice how over the course of the minutes that we're in the pose, how that stimulation may actually move to a different part. So for example, just as an example, you may find here that it started in the hamstrings. But now that you've been in it for a couple of minutes, perhaps you're finding that that stress is going to a different part. You're feeling it more in the back, the lower back perhaps, or even it moved to a different part of the legs. That's very possible as the connective tissue relaxes. So let's come up. So roll up to the center. Bend the knees. Put the feet on the floor. Just close the eyes and notice how the back of the body feels. Flashing my legs. The legs, the back, or wherever it was, wherever the target area was for you. And then we're going to move to the other side. So we're going to move to shoelace on the other side. So I'll turn around just to show you again. This time sit down on your right hip. And then bring the left knee over the right knee, approximately. See how that feels. Move the feet, perhaps move the feet forward if it's not feeling so great, or move them a bit closer towards the hips. And again, you can move the knees away from each other if you want to, so you're in a bit more of a square shape. You can also do this in cross legs as well. That's also fine. Again, sit up on anything if you're feeling it in the knees. Bring the arms up. Left over right this time, crossing at the top of the arms, bend the elbows, bring the hands, or hold on to the wrist, or keep the hands separate, bring the elbows up to your edge. Play with it a bit first. Where is it? Where can you feel that stretch? Keeping the shoulders relaxed. In the front of the left arm, the outside of the left arm. That you're okay to stay in for a couple of minutes. Remember that 2 to 5 intensity, without pushing, without pain. And again, if you want to feel more, then maybe try rolling over, moving the weight of the body. And if it's not working for you and it's pinching in the front of the shoulder, bring the left arm across the chest. And again, we'll stay here for 2 minutes. Close your eyes, relax the shoulders. Notice your breath. How is it? Is it natural? Or is it not so natural? If it's not so natural, maybe you've gone too far. Maybe bring the shoulders, the elbows down. Really good stretch this if you have tension in your shoulders. Something you can do in front of the TV as well, which is useful. Not so mindful, but useful in a physical sense. Stay where you are. I'm just going to move to the side. I'll move to the other side this time. No, just another minute or so. Just on for a minute. Okay, so we're going to let go of the arms. So just relax the arms, relax the shoulders and fold forward. Adjust the legs if you want to. Torso wherever you want. If you've got the stretch on the side of the right leg and into the glutes, the top, the side bum basically. If you've got it actually up here, and this is your edge, this is your natural stopping point, then stay here. Or fold further forward, not because I'm doing it, because you want to feel more. And that's your edge. And again, if you want even more, then just play with the weight of the torso. And we'll stay here for 3 minutes. And what we want to be feeling in those target areas is a kind of achiness, dull, uncomfortable sensation over a general area, as I already mentioned. And it is important to try, it can be difficult, but to try to differentiate that from something that is actually painful to you. So something that's stabbing, or pinching, or burning, or throbbing, particularly quite often in one area. And if you're feeling that, then again, you need to adjust. And it can be something just as small as just moving the body slightly. Moving it slightly up, moving it slightly to the right, moving it slightly to the left. Or moving the feet, the knees. And again, notice if it moves. Maybe it's in one part of the leg to start with, and then after a while, it moves to a different part of the leg, the back, the hips. Pay attention to your experience. Mindful attention. Noticing what's going on in your body. Just 30 seconds or so here now. Keep the body relaxed. But stimulated. Okay, so walk the hands back. Coming back to the centre. And then move any props away if they're there. Sit back, bring the knees up, straighten the legs out. And again, put your hands wherever you want on the floor. Close your eyes for the rebound. So notice how the left side feels, the left arm, the left leg. Compare that to the right. I'm sorry, my cat's scratching on the door again. Sorry, this always happens. She keeps doing it, I'll let her in. For some entertainment. Okay. So then just shake the legs out if you want, just as a counter pose. We're just going to do a short twist. So bend the right knee, place the foot on the floor, bend the left knee and just put the leg underneath the right somewhere, anywhere, doesn't matter where. And then we're just going to twist to the left. So starting from the lower part, left hand on the floor, the lower part of the spine, twisting from the bottom, going all the way round. And this can be a bit more yang, a bit more active. You can put the arm, if you want, on the inside of the right knee, but you don't have to. So you can just move it a bit with the breath as you breathe out. Not something we do in yin, but this is a yang counter pose. But nothing too forceful. Just twisting the spine after those forward folds. Okay, and then back to the center. And then let's do the opposite. So right foot underneath the left knee, somewhere, anywhere. Doesn't matter about the position of the legs. Left foot on the floor, right foot, right hand on the floor, wherever. And then again, twisting from the bottom of the spine. You can also put the left hand on the right knee if you want. Don't try to look like me. Just as long as you've got this twist here. And on the out breath, twisting a bit more. Move the hand if you want to. As long as you're twisting the spine and not feeling any pain in the body. And then twisting back to the center. And then we're going to go into Sphinx or Seal. So if when you do this one, something similar to Cobra, if you haven't done it before, but a yin version, if you find that your groin tends to, the pelvic area tends to push into the ground, then just put something underneath. And then just lie down on your front. You might need a couple of props if you decide you want to go up a bit higher here. Sorry, flirty trousers not ideal for a yoga class. And then go down onto your front. And then put the hands on the floor. And then we're coming up into Sphinx. So, target area here is this time we're looking for compression. We're opening the front, but actually our main target area is a bit of a back bend, so compression in the back. So you can have the legs together or you can separate them. You can also play with the rotation of the legs, particularly if you're finding any pinching, stabbing, electrical, etc. sensations in the lower back. Now if you're finding this isn't really doing much for you, then just take something to prop yourself up, to go that bit higher. Maybe that is your edge. Relax, see how that is. It's quite common to tense the buttocks here, so relax the bum. And if this is your edge, then stay here. But if actually you're not there yet, then your other option is to go up on the hands. Now it doesn't matter here in any of these, in Sphinx, those first two poses, or Seal, which is this one, if the shoulders start to come a bit up towards you, that's fine in Yin. Just relax them. We're not trying to bring the shoulder blades together like we would in a Yang practice. And this can vary from day to day. So for example, for me, usually that second option, raised Sphinx, is more appropriate for me. But today, this feels right. And we'll stay here for 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to your back. How does that feel? Is there anything pinching, stabbing, tingling, electrical sensations, anything going on here. If there is, go to a lower version and or play with the legs, the position of the legs. Adjust it, individual adjustment. With the head, you can keep it looking forward. You can put it up, or you can even drop it down if you want. So we're also, of course, opening the front of the body here, the chest, maybe the belly if you're in seal. So for me, for example, I'm finding here that I'm breathing a bit deeper than my natural breath. So in which case I must be trying to breathe into this pose. So it's got to the point where it's got a bit too deep. So in order to heed my edge, I'm going to go down. And now my breath has changed. Relax the bum, relax the hips. Relax the shoulders. So just take 3 more breaths. No more breaths. And on the 3rd out breath, if you've got any props, then just move them to the sides. And gently come down onto the floor. And you can put the head on the floor to one side if you want to. Or you can put the forehead on the hands, doesn't matter. Just allow the body to relax. Put the arms by the sides. And we're actually going to do a short shavasana. This way round for a change. And I will actually stop talking for a couple of minutes just to allow you to relax. So just see if you can soften, see if you can relax for a couple of minutes. Make sure to turn the head the opposite direction. And then just start moving the fingers and the toes a little bit, maybe pointing and stretching, making fists with the hands. And in your own way, but very gently, I want you just to push back, being careful of that lower back, into child's pose. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed. Maybe stretching out the arms in front of you. And just before we finish, we're just going to do a little bit of yang for the lower back. So again, keep your eyes closed. Just listen to my words. Come up onto hands and knees, and we're going to do a bit of cat-cow with child's pose. So just arch the spine so the lower belly goes down towards the floor, the head comes up. And then curve the spine, sit back on the heels and go into child's pose with the arms outstretched. Breathe in, come back up again, arch the spine. Not big arches. Breathe out, curve the spine, go into child's pose, stretch the arms out. And again, breathe in and arch. Keep the eyes closed, feel the movements. Breathe out, curve child's pose, stretch the arms out. Breathe in and arch. Breathe out, curve child's pose. And then just roll up to a seated position, keeping your eyes closed for now. Noticing the effects of the practice on your body and on your mind. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you for joining me today, or at another time, if you do this another time. I won't be doing any classes next week, I'm afraid, as I'm going away, and I think it'll be a bit difficult to do it where I'm going. So I will be back the week after next, Wednesday lunchtime, for the Yin Yang session, and I don't think I'm in the centre yet. Friday again, Friday for the Yin session. And please, for anybody who is new and anybody who's been coming, if you have any questions at all about individual adjustments or anything at all, or any particular themes you'd like to do, just message me. Please just message me. That would be great. It'd be great to hear from you, or write it on my wall. I hope you enjoyed this session. Have a wonderful weekend, and see you in 2